today. Got one of my little Ficus Microcarpa here. It is just in a little plastic training pot. I mean, this was actually a nursery pot that I've just cut off to make into my own training pot. This is my front here, and then that would be the back side. This is the last of the cuttings that I was actually still taking when they were small like this. And so, you know, this thing actually started when it was a cutting just really not much bigger than, oh, just one of these smallest stems here, just in this branch right here, really. My knowledge of plants when I first started the hobby was that was the only way to take cuttings. You really couldn't take thick ones, and now I figured out you can take much thicker ones, but since this was one of the survivors of the small ones, I've decided to go ahead and train it as it goes rather than trying to just fatten it up and, you know, just hold on to some taper, get some nice wide branches at the bottom. I mean, considering I started it right when I was a rookie and everything, I think it's coming out pretty decently. It has been in this pot for 3 years. I want to repot it, and I actually, I'd leave it in longer actually, but I do remember I have a lot of nursery soil in the bottom of this. So I'd like to get into some better substrate. Plus, it's the substrate that I used to use when it was a little bit cheaper stuff too. So it's got the turfus mixed in it, so it's good and compacted and everything. But I do have a theory. You know, ficus down here, we can pretty much repot almost any time. Say like February through October. I think late February would be better than doing it October. So I've been trying to do a lot of my stuff in the spring. And then I also have this theory of with deciduous trees, you repot them at bud break because that's when they're pushing roots, that's when they can recover, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to prep this for, it's late January right now, this last weekend in February, like the 26th or 27th, something like that. So I'm going to give it a good hard prune. And then just as the buds break, I'm going to go ahead and repot it. And like I said, that'll be my springtime bud breaking kind of repot here for this guy. I've had this theory for a while. And, you know, from all my personal practice with it and everything, it works great for my ficus, especially microcarpa. Some of my other tropicals, the jury's kind of out on, but we'll just have to, you know, just kind of see. I don't have as many of those to kind of play around with. If I do any wiring, it'll just be the primary branches. So I'm going to cut these secondary branches back a little bit. My wiring skills, I don't really feel all that comfortable with the twigs. I feel like if I try to bend them too much, they just wind up snapping. The primary branches are thickening up nicely, and I think I might be able to get a little more movement in it. This little sacrifice, I mean, I'll call it branch, but almost twig. Got decent taper, but it's not great, so I'm trying to save as much of it as possible. We'll just leave that on there for now. All right, and I did decide to go ahead and put some wire on the couple of primary branches. The biggest one has actually always kind of bothered me a little bit since it's the second branch up. But I also have had wire on that several times, and so I've got some movement in there. Some of these smaller ones I haven't, so just add a little more in a couple of them. All right, that first part of the video was January 28th. Here it is, March 2nd. I'm sure I explained it, but I was going to wait until bud break to go ahead and repot this. And you can see things got all kinds of green growth popping out everywhere there. Idea being that it's popping out growth, so it's going to pop out roots too, kind of like a deciduous for the people up north. I'm sure I explained it a little bit in the first part of the video, but we're going to go ahead and get a look at this guy's roots. All right, generally speaking, with a healthy tree like this is, I do usually bare root. Don't really have a setup at all where I can do that for the video. So I'll pause here, take a good look at what we've got so far. I'm sure I mentioned it at the beginning of the video. This is the first repot I ever did on the YouTube channel. It's like my third video or something like that. This was just really a very small cutting at the time. It's about 2 years ago now. But I repotted it in kind of a mixture. I actually had some brand new soil, and I put some potting soil in the bottom of this to both clog up the drain holes. And then that was before I really understood using the better substrate and, you know, its purpose in growing good healthy white roots and everything. So I just kind of mixed it up a little bit, thinking that that it would hold water better. And now I know better. So again, I'll go ahead and get it bare rooted and get it in some really good soil. Like this tree though. All right, and it's looking good considering it wasn't that bad soil. I took the opportunity to rub off a couple of buds that were kind of growing out and popping out in some bad spots too. I think there's plenty of other growths. A couple of years ago, I probably would have been wanting to get a tree that looked like this into something nice looking. I mean, you know, not that my little training pots are horrible looking, but I'm going to get it into a rectangular training pot here rather than that old beat up nursery one that I had it in. Just want to be able to plant it deep enough in some good soil and let it recover for a couple years. And then the next time I repot, I'll probably try to put it in something nice. I got a lot of nice pots around this size. Pots can be expensive. One nice thing about keeping the smaller trees is the smaller pots aren't so bad. All right, and looking pretty good in my opinion. Pull that sacrifice branch down there and look like that might what it might look like when I chop that off. This is actually what I've always considered to be the back of the tree, but I was able to get some of those aerial roots to kind of get straight down into the repot. Took out a couple crooked ones, left a couple of them. I think those were ones that I straightened out that just kind of went crooked while I was working on it. I have, however, always thought about this guy as being the front, but no aerial roots. I mean, you know, you can see that one. But again, it should be a nice, clean looking tree from there. Again, pulling that sacrifice branch out of the way so you can kind of see it a little bit better. All right, and I finished that shoot up. I was holding the sacrifice branch down there so you can just kind of see the tree a little bit better. I've been trying to be a little more patient, trying to shoot some videos and hold on to them and then do some updates. I had intended to go ahead and publish that video after the repot. And honestly, now I'm kind of behind on editing a little bit. I got too much material to edit. And also, in the comments, if you made it this far in the video, let me know. I actually got a new camera today. Let me know if you notice any difference in quality or anything. I actually got the camera yesterday. Just started using it today. But here, when they are just budding out like this, sometimes I'll come through and just kind of pop off the inconvenient buds so it can put its energy into the buds I'd like to keep. And if you're, you know, watching for details and stuff, even here the sacrifice branch here now has 3 other buds coming out on it. Of course, I'd leave that. And that just lets me know, I mean, I didn't even take the growing tip off there, so sap flow was going through there while the rest of the tree was recovering. But also, this probably won't last another growing season or something like that. I mean, I'll probably leave it in this pot for several years before I try to get it into anything better. But at the same time, I don't want to have too big of a scar down there or anything, but kind of forgot to look up at the apex for any buds I'd rather not have, but that's what she's looking like.